I took my brother in after his divorce, let him stay in my basement for free, even gave him my car. One morning I woke up to my wife crying and the baby gone. A note sat on the crib. You don't deserve her. Or him. I called my brother screaming. He just whispered, You always had everything first. Now it's my turn. The next call I made was to the police, but what they found wasn't him. I'm Mark. I'm 39 years old and live in Lexington, Kentucky. 2 years ago, my younger brother Nate lost everything. His wife left him after catching him cheating. His friends stopped answering his calls. He said he had nowhere else to go. He called me crying at 3 a.m., said he was sleeping in his car, which later turned out to be a lie. I could have said no. Should have said no. But I didn't. I cleared out our finished basement, gave him his own space. Bought him groceries. Gave him my old Camry so he could find a job. Even offered to co-sign a lease if he got back on his feet. My wife Megan wasn't thrilled about it, but she trusted me. She believed in helping family. Biggest mistake we ever made. At first, Nate kept to himself. He was quiet. Stayed in the basement most days, slept weird hours. I thought maybe depression had finally caught up with him. He didn't work. Didn't even look. Just watched TV, went for drives, and sat up back smoking. He always seemed to be listening when Megan and I talked. Sometimes I'd catch him staring too long at her when she wasn't looking. I brought it up once. He just laughed and said, Don't worry. She's too good for me. You know that. I let it go. I wish I hadn't. Caleb came into our lives 6 months after Nate moved in. We were first-time parents, exhausted but happy. Megan needed help during recovery. I worked long hours at a tire warehouse, sometimes 10 to 12-hour shifts. I'd come home and crash. That's when Nate stepped up. At least that's what I thought at the time. He started offering to watch Caleb so Megan could nap or shower. Said it was Uncle bonding time. He even made bottles, changed diapers. Told Megan he liked feeling needed again. I thought he was trying to be better. But now I know, he wasn't bonding. He was practicing. One night, I came home and Caleb wasn't in the crib. I panicked, but Megan told me Nate had taken him for a drive to help him nap. He's just trying to help, she said. He's been great. That night, I found a pacifier in Nate's bed. I asked him about it, and he said Caleb must have dropped it while they were lying down watching cartoons. He smiled like it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. I knew something felt wrong. I just couldn't name it yet. It was a cold November morning. I woke up at 6:30 to Megan sobbing in our room. I sat up, confused, still half asleep. She pointed at the crib. It was empty. I thought maybe she moved Caleb to the bed or another room. But then I saw her shaking. Her hands were covering her mouth. There was a note on the mattress. Handwritten. No envelope. Just a folded sheet of paper that said, You don't deserve her. Or him. I ran downstairs. The basement was empty. Nate's mattress was gone. His clothes, his shoes, even the photos we gave him for the holidays, gone. The Camry was gone too. I called his phone. He answered. Nate. Where is he? I screamed so loud I could barely hear myself. He didn't speak for a few seconds. Just breathed. Then, calm as hell, he whispered. You always had everything first. Now it's my turn. Then he hung up. I stared at the phone like it had burned me. My wife collapsed on the floor screaming. I called 911 while my hands shook so bad I could barely hit the buttons. The cops were fast. Amber Alert was issued within the hour. They sent a detective from the missing persons unit. Took photos, asked a million questions. Then something strange happened. 2 days later, they found my Camry parked near a gas station in Bowling Green. No signs of Nate. No sign of Caleb. No prints. Just an old bottle of baby formula in the back seat. Then things got worse. Lisa, his ex-wife. She had vanished almost a year before. Everyone thought she left him and skipped town. She didn't. Cops found her half-conscious in a motel near Nashville. Covered in bruises. Starved. Barely 90 pounds. She'd been held captive. He fed her just enough to keep her alive. When she woke up, she started talking. She said Nate had taken her after she filed for divorce. He'd been hiding her in a storage unit for months. Said she was still his, and no one else could have her. She said he talked about me all the time. How I got everything. How I always won. He hated me. And he wanted my life. Lisa told the detectives Nate was obsessed with Megan. That he'd shown her pictures. Said things like, She looks at me different now. And she smiles when I hold the baby. He'd convinced himself Megan had feelings for him. That Caleb would forget me and see him as Dad. He didn't just snap. He planned this. Every diaper change. Every bottle. Every night he helped. He was training. While the FBI chased dead ends, I followed my gut. I checked old contacts, friends he had in high school, old coworkers. I tracked down Nikki Raines, a woman Nate used to date. She had a forgery charge from 2015. Guess who bailed her out? Nate. When I asked her if she'd seen him, she froze. Denied it. Said she didn't talk to him anymore. I showed her a picture of Caleb. Her face dropped. She gave me an address. It was deep in the forest near Crossville, Tennessee. Looked abandoned. No mailbox, no driveway. Just a one-room hunting cabin. I parked a quarter-mile away and walked the rest. Heart pounding. Hands sweating. I saw the smoke from the chimney first. Then I saw the crib through the window. Caleb was there. Sleeping. A stuffed bear beside him, one I gave him on his first birthday. Nate was sitting at a table. Rocking slowly. Humming. I didn't wait. I kicked the door open and charged him. We fought. Hard. I fought him in that cabin like my life depended on it. Because it did. When I kicked that door open, Nate stood up slow, like he didn't believe I was real. He looked thinner, hair greasy, eyes hollow. He had Caleb's pacifier clipped to his shirt like it belonged to him. Like he was the father. I went straight for him. He didn't even try to run. He grinned. Said, "You finally showed up." I tackled him into the table. We crashed to the floor. He fought dirty. Bit my shoulder. Tried to gouge my eye. I don't even remember half of it. I was seeing red. I slammed his head into the floor twice before he stopped moving. Then I grabbed Caleb. He was crying, but breathing. Alive. Warm. I held him like I'd never let go again. I should have called the cops right then. I didn't. I tied Nate up with an extension cord I found in a corner. He came to within a few minutes, groaning. I dragged a chair across the floor and sat in front of him. "You thought you could replace me?" I asked. His lip was bleeding. He smiled through it. "She was going to come with me," he said. "She cried when I left. She would have chosen me." I punched him. Hard. Broke 2 fingers doing it. "I fed your son," he said. "He called me Da. You were never around. He needs someone there, not someone tired all the time." He said it like he really believed it. That's what chilled me the most. Back home, Megan was losing her mind. She'd been going nonstop with the FBI. When I finally called, I just said, "I have him. Caleb's safe." She broke down crying on the phone. Said she didn't care about Nate, didn't care about anything else, just wanted her son home. I said I'd be back in 4 hours. Then hung up. I looked at Nate. "I should leave you here," I said. "Let the animals find you." He laughed. "Go ahead. You still lose." I stared at him. "What does that mean?" His smile stretched. "She'll always wonder. Deep down, she'll never look at you the same." I drove straight to the nearest sheriff's station. Told them everything. Gave them the location. They picked him up and took statements from me and Megan. Lisa confirmed it all. Nate was charged with kidnapping, assault, unlawful imprisonment, and attempted murder. Everyone thought that was the end of it. But a few weeks later, Megan found something hidden in one of Caleb's old toy boxes. A flash drive. Inside? Videos. There were over 40 videos. All from hidden cameras. One inside our bedroom vent. One inside Caleb's nursery. One behind the basement TV, facing upward through the air duct. He'd been filming us for months. Watching us sleep. Recording private conversations. Some videos showed Megan in the shower. Changing clothes. Nursing Caleb. All without her knowing. It made me sick. We called the detective. They added charges. But something about those videos stuck with me. In one video, Megan was singing to Caleb. Rocking him in the chair. The version Nate saved? He edited his own voice in. Whispering, "Daddy loves you." In another clip, he dubbed my laugh over with his. Changed the audio. He was trying to erase me. Like he was editing a movie of our lives with himself as the lead. One night, I went back through the files alone. Couldn't sleep. I found a folder labeled Project Rebirth. Inside were scanned IDs. Fake ones. Passports. A new social security number. All in my name, but with his photo. He was building a new life. Under my identity. He even had photoshopped wedding pictures. Him and Megan, holding Caleb. He was going to run away and live as me. The feds took over again. Identity theft, child endangerment, and a string of fraud charges were added. But the court declared him mentally fit. He got 55 years without parole. Megan didn't go to the sentencing. She didn't want to hear his voice again. I did. I needed to. When the judge gave the sentence, Nate turned around to face me. No smile. No jokes. Just said, "He's still mine. You'll never erase me." After all that, I noticed Megan started pulling away. She avoided eye contact. Flinched when I came in the room. I figured it was trauma. PTSD. But one night, I saw her staring at an old picture of Nate, smiling. She said nothing when I asked what she was thinking. But I saw it in her face. Doubt. Not about me. About herself. She wouldn't look me in the eyes anymore after everything. I thought we'd get closer. That surviving something that awful would bring us back together. But something changed in Megan. She stopped touching me. Barely spoke during meals. Whenever I brought up Nate, his arrest, the trial, even just the name, she'd go stiff. Blank. At first, I told myself it was trauma. Guilt. PTSD. But I started catching little things. She didn't delete his number from her phone. I found it by accident while checking a call log. It was labeled, "Do not answer." But it was still there. Why? It was buried in the back of her nightstand drawer, behind old receipts and some old hospital paperwork. The envelope was sealed, addressed to Nate. There was no stamp. No postmark. She never mailed it. I stared at it for 20 minutes before opening it. Inside was one short page, written in her handwriting. "I don't know what this is. I don't know how to feel. You confuse me. I hate what you did. But part of me can't stop wondering what this would have looked like in another life. One where you didn't have to steal him from me." I almost threw up. That night I waited until Caleb was asleep and Megan was in the kitchen doing dishes. I held up the letter. She froze. Said nothing. I asked, "Were you going to leave with him?" Her face didn't change. Then she whispered, "I didn't know what I was going to do." That hit harder than any punch. We had a digital monitor with a camera and memory card. I never checked the old recordings until then. Something told me I needed to. I went back to the day before Nate took Caleb. Then the day before that. Then a week before. I found a clip from 2 weeks before the kidnapping. Nate is in the nursery. Megan walks in. It's late. She's wearing pajamas. She tells him to put Caleb back in the crib. He says something I can't hear. Then, she hugs him. Not long. But long enough. She breaks it off. Leaves the room. Nate stands there, rocking my son, smiling. She didn't cheat. Not physically. But emotionally? She admitted that after giving birth, she felt invisible. Said Nate made her feel seen. Said he listened to her in ways I didn't anymore. I was working 60 hours a week. She was isolated, exhausted, touched out. And he slid right in, played the part. Said everything I didn't say. Acted like the man I used to be. She said it never felt real. But part of her wanted it to be. Then she cried and said she was sorry. Said she was scared to tell me because she didn't want to lose Caleb. All the memories felt infected. Every birthday. Every family dinner with Nate. Every time she said, "Thank you, for helping him." All fake. I kept looking at Caleb and thinking, was she picturing Nate instead of me? I hated her for a while. I hated myself more. And then I decided something. I went to a lawyer. Filed for full custody. Megan could keep the house. I didn't want it anymore. But I wanted my son. She didn't fight it. I think some part of her believed she didn't deserve him after what happened. The judge granted me sole custody with supervised visitation for Megan. I wanted to make sure Nate never had access to anything, not my identity, not my family, not even a shadow of the life he tried to steal. I hired a private investigator. I had them dig into every person who had ever helped Nate before. Anyone who sent money. Anyone who knew where he was hiding. That's when I found out something else. He didn't just have help. He had backup plans. The PI found encrypted emails on Nikki's old laptop. She'd wiped most of her hard drive, but data recovery got parts back. Turns out, she wasn't just an ex. She was part of a group Nate met online. A community for people who believed in family reclamation. Sick people who think if your life is broken, you have the right to take someone else's. Nate was recruiting. He had help finding the cabin. Help getting the fake documents. Even a contact who said they could take the baby out of the country if things went wrong. And Nikki? She was never charged. I won't say what I did. I'll just say she doesn't talk online anymore. Her trailer's for sale. And she'll never forget my face. But that wasn't the last surprise. Not even close. I thought I was done, but then the package arrived. It was about 6 weeks after Nate was sentenced. Caleb and I were settling into a routine. He started sleeping through the night again. I was sleeping more too, but I'd never call it rest. I came home from the grocery store and saw a brown envelope sitting on my porch. No return address. No stamps. Just my name. Handwritten in all caps. I opened it on the kitchen counter. Inside was a single Polaroid. It showed Caleb. At the park. Taken from behind a tree. That wasn't the worst part. On the back, someone wrote, "You think it's over. It's not." I called the cops right away. They came, took the photo, dusted the envelope for prints. Nothing usable. They pulled security footage from the nearby traffic cameras. Caught a glimpse of someone walking away from my mailbox in a gray hoodie. No plate, no face. The detective told me. Probably someone from Nate's little group. Trying to scare you. It worked. I pulled Caleb out of daycare. Got cameras installed all around the house. Took time off work. Bought a gun. Taught Megan how to shoot too, even though she was only seeing Caleb during her supervised visits. She cried when I handed her the Glock. I didn't feel bad about it. She was supposed to drop Caleb off at 6 p.m. sharp. At 6:15 I called. No answer. 6:30. Nothing. I was already in the truck when the state-assigned supervisor called me, frantic. Said Megan. Talked her into letting them stay at the park a little longer. And then disappeared. Just like that. Gone. I drove to every park in the area. Searched the grocery store lots. Drove to her apartment, empty. I called the police again. An Amber Alert went out a second time. 2 hours passed. Then I got a call. Blocked number. I answered. It was Megan. She said, "Mark, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to run. I was scared. I wasn't gonna keep him, I just needed to hold him longer, just a little longer." Then the call cut out. I knew where she was. There was only one place that ever made sense to her, her parents' cabin in Red River Gorge. They left it to her years ago. Barely used. Not listed on any rental sites. No Wi-Fi, no neighbors. A place where no one would look right away. I drove like a madman to get there. I parked, ran up to the cabin, pounded on the door. Megan opened it slowly. Her face was red, eyes swollen. She held Caleb in her arms. I didn't see rage in her face. I saw shame. She handed Caleb to me without a word. I didn't say anything either. She sat down on the porch steps and said, "They contacted me. She said they'd found her through a fake support group for mothers with custody loss. Started emailing her. Told her she was still a mother. That the courts don't define family. Said they helped Nate when the system abandoned him. She told them she wasn't interested. Blocked them. But they kept coming. Letters. A burner phone left on her windshield. She cracked. And they told her, all you have to do is walk away with him. We'll handle the rest." She said the second she left the park, reality hit her. That she'd messed up. That she'd become just like Nate. She said she wasn't trying to run permanently. I didn't know whether to believe her. I still don't. The cops showed up 20 minutes later. She didn't resist. They arrested her for violating visitation orders and endangering a minor. But what I remember most is what she whispered as they put her in cuffs. "They're still out there. I don't know how many." A week later, the detective came back with something they recovered from Nikki's laptop and traced through encrypted chat logs. The group had a name. The Second Path. A mix of failed parents, convicted ex-cons, disbarred lawyers, ex-social workers, all people who believed the system was broken, and that they could decide who deserved children and families. Nate wasn't the only one. There were others like him. They helped people erase their old lives and take someone else's. They had plans in motion across the country. 2 of the group members got arrested near Owensboro. One was caught trying to forge adoption papers. Another turned up in Colorado with a fake foster license. But many are still out there. Megan pleaded guilty. She's in a diversion program now. Can't see Caleb for at least 2 years, minimum. She writes letters. I don't answer them. Because even if she didn't mean to run, she still chose to trust them. I moved to a new town. New house. Caleb started pre-K. He still asks for his mom sometimes. I just tell him she made a mistake and she's trying to fix it. But sometimes, when he's asleep, I check the cameras. And sometimes, I see a car parked down the street a little too long. A man at the grocery store staring a little too hard. I never let my guard down anymore. Because they took my brother from me. They took my marriage. And they tried to take my son. I wanted to move on. But something in me wouldn't let go even after I moved, even after Megan was gone, even after Caleb started sleeping through the night again. I couldn't shake it. There were too many unanswered questions. Who else was in that group? Why didn't the police catch them all? Why were they still watching me? That kind of silence, after everything, wasn't peace. It was a warning. So I made a decision. I had money saved. Not a lot, but enough. I used it to hire a different kind of investigator. Not some guy with a badge and clipboard. I found a former FBI contractor. Retired early. Still worked off the books. Name was Jerry. No last name given. All I knew was he'd spent years hunting human trafficking rings in backwoods states no one paid attention to. I gave him everything I had, emails, phone numbers, burner accounts, addresses tied to fake names, old records from Nikki and Nate, and the picture of Caleb from the park. He looked at it all and said, "This is bigger than you think." Jerry traced it to a guy named Caleb Sanders. Real name, real face. Ex-family court lawyer from Indiana. Lost his license in 2012 for evidence tampering. Since then? Vanished from the grid. He was the founder of the Second Path. He wasn't just helping people like Nate. He was recruiting. He believed family bonds were a myth. Said the system was corrupt, that people who lose custody deserve a second chance, by force if necessary. He had followers. Not many. But enough. They lived quietly. Worked under fake names. Taught at daycares. Worked at print shops, schools, foster homes. And they were watching me because I ruined their favorite project. Nate. Not Nate. Sanders. It took months. But he found him. Living under a fake name, Terry Cartwright, in a trailer in southern Illinois. Owned land. Ran a wilderness counseling program. For parents, reconnecting with their estranged kids. I took time off work. I drove there myself. I parked a mile out and hiked through the woods with a flashlight and a .38 in my jacket. The trailer had motion lights. I disabled them. I waited until 2 a.m. Then I knocked. When he opened the door, he looked older than I expected. Thin. Gray hair. Glasses. Didn't recognize me at first. Then I said, "You helped my brother kidnap my son." He tried to shut the door. I forced it open and shoved him inside. He tried to yell. I slammed the butt of my gun into his jaw. He dropped fast. I tied him to a chair with duct tape and rope. Then I opened my backpack and pulled out the same Polaroid he sent me. I held it up. "Remember this?" He was shaking. Mumbled something about rights and helping the helpless. I didn't say a word. I pulled out a USB drive, same one with all the hidden camera footage from Nate. I tossed it on the floor. "I'm going to give you a choice," I said. "You either tell me every name, every address, every file, and every backdoor you've ever used." I leaned in close. "Or I'll make you disappear the way you helped Nate disappear my son." Took 3 hours. He cried halfway through. Gave me names. IPs. Addresses. Passwords. Even showed me where he hid backups, in a locked toolbox under his floorboards. Files going back 10 years. I sent it all to Jerry. Then I did something I hadn't planned on. I called the cops. I left the trailer before they got there. They found him bruised and tied up, surrounded by hard drives and files. He's now facing federal charges. Multiple counts of conspiracy to commit kidnapping, forgery, child endangerment, and impersonation of state officials. They raided 2 more homes that week. Found 4 kids who were living under fake identities. All returned to their families. Jerry got pulled back in to consult with the FBI. He asked me if I wanted credit. I told him no. In prison, Nate wasn't special. Turns out, even murderers don't like child kidnappers. He got jumped in the yard. Put in medical lockdown. When he came out, he was a different man. Quiet. Limped when he walked. No more letters. No more calls. I heard he tried to file for early medical parole. It was denied. She finished her program, tried to make contact again. She wanted to rebuild something. Said she missed Caleb. Said she missed me. I let her see him. Supervised. Twice. On the second visit, she broke down and asked, "Is there any way you could ever trust me again?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, "No." I told her she could still be a mother, but not his mother, not in the way she used to be. She nodded. Said she understood. I haven't heard from her since. I moved one last time. New state. New name on the mailbox. Caleb's in kindergarten now. Smiles more. Sleeps better. We take long walks. Play baseball in the yard. Every night I tuck him in, I tell him, "You're safe. You're loved. You're mine." And every time I hear a branch snap outside, I don't panic. I check the cameras, the locks, the alarm system. Then I sit by the door with the .38 in my lap. Because if they ever come back, I'll be ready.